Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Boxing Bananas Show, brought to you, of course, by Fight Bananas, where we are crazy about fights. I'm your
That's what
host,
it
Ray
is.
the Business. I'm here with the professor himself, Mr. John Radford. What's going on?
How we doing, brother? How we doing?
Doing all right, man. Doing good, hanging out
Yes,
on
sir.
this Sunday, ready to talk about some of the stuff going on in the boxing world, especially revolving the middleweight division in or around there. Before we get
Yes.
into it, I'm gonna let you take it away here with our first sponsor, Jazzercise.
We have jazzercise. If you want that beautiful structure, that jawline structure, we'll strengthen up the neck a little bit. You don't like this right here? Go get you one of these. Go to jazzercise. Use code Fight Bananas for 15% off your order. It really does help, and all you got to do is like 5-10 minutes a day. It's not bad. I use it in the car. It's actually kind of convenient. So, and then our next sponsor, been racking up some use in these bad boys lately.
Boom.
Um, HKA USA also been using their mitts. Great brand, great quality product. I love it. Go ahead and check out at HKA USA and use the code bananas20 for 20% off your order.
You heard it here, guys. Make sure you check out HKA USA as well as Jazzercise.
That's right.
And then we have our first comment from Dawson. Happy Sunday, fellas. Happy Sunday to you,
Happy
Dawson.
Sunday, Dawson. Thank you
And
very
if you want to
much.
be featured with your comment on the screen, make sure to comment below and let us know what you think. So I say we get into, let's go back in time into last weekend, right?
Okay.
Last weekend we had a
Yes, sir.
fight in the Mandalay Bay Michelob Ultra Arena with my man Virgil Ortiz Jr. fighting for the, what was it? The interim WBC junior middleweight title.
Yes, sir.
He fought a guy named Sergey Boachuk, and man, that was a scrap, bro.
It
These
was.
guys, these guys fought it out. Did you catch the fight? What did you
I,
think about it?
I saw more of the highlights than I got to catch the fight and everything like that. I need to go back and rewatch the entire thing because it was a really good fight from my understanding. And Virgil came back from two knockdowns, and it in the first and the eighth, I think.
Yeah, I think it was
Um,
like the second, maybe, but
the
maybe it was the
second.
first. I don't remember. It might have been the
Okay.
first.
And then, but yeah, I heard it was a they were getting down with it. They were definitely banging. It was a good hard fought fight. So I definitely got to check it out. I find it kind of hard. I especially need to look at it and watch it as a whole rather than see the highlights, just for the fact that anytime someone gets knocked down twice in a fight and then still wins, you know what I mean? I kind of want to take it and see the whole entire
Hmm.
thing as a whole to make sure I'm judging it the way I would, to be able to give my a better full understanding of it and opinion. But
Yeah, because when
either
you have
way,
two knockdowns in a fight, like when you do the math, it's kind of hard to win a fight.
it is. It is. It
Yeah.
is. So he must have been banking some rounds in the middle, to get knocked down in the first or the second. You're out of round right there. Now you're down 10-8, after the first round or two. I mean, you pretty much gotta, you gotta get on your P's and Q's after that, and then you get knocked down again. I don't know, man. I like I said, I gotta go back and watch it. But either way, Virgil came out on top, right? So it was, and I heard it was a hard fought scrap. The highlights look great.
It was.
You know what I mean? So what you watched it? So what were your thoughts?
Um, so my reaction definitely was I felt like it could have been a draw, or I felt
Okay.
like Virgil would have won, right? Even with the math and whatnot. I didn't like write down my scorecard at the time, so shame on me. But I remember specifically doing it in the sense of like, oh, I think it's 5-3 with the 10-8s as I was going.
Yeah.
But the thing about the knockdowns too is even though you're going to score it as a 10-8, they weren't like terrible knockdowns. Like the first knockdown, it looked more like he was kind of off balance. It was a very weird knockdown in the sense that the ref called it a slip, initially when I saw it, I thought it was a knockdown because you know the rules is if it's caused by a punch, it's a knockdown. It doesn't matter if you're off balance or what, it's a knockdown. So that's what I thought it was. And then once they got into like the third round, in between rounds, they came back and the ref, I guess, was told by the commission or someone that they re-looked at the video footage and said,
Oh.
I don't know if they showed him or just told him, but then the ref went, "Oh, hey," to the judges, "That was a knockdown," and then went back. So that's the first time that I've seen that I can remember them go and use this instant replay to go back and change something like that. Because there's been times in the past where I see stuff where I'm like, "Oh, that should have been a knockdown," or "That was clearly a slip," and nothing. Like,
Yeah, no, I've never heard of that. That's weird.
for example, with that Devin Haney fight, there was a couple of those that people were saying, "Man, those he could have had multiple more knockdowns."
Oh yeah.
Where was the instant replay on that?
Yeah, well,
So,
that's yeah, I'm a little confused by that. That's a little bit that's different.
yeah, so that's the I like the idea, but I would like to see consistency across the board in the usage of it. So
Oh,
that
100%.
yeah, that was called a knockdown, and then in the like 8th round or whatever it was that there was a second knockdown. It was one of those where the graphic on the ground was a bit slippery. Like, so because I had seen it previously, it was one of the fighters had took a step back and then did that slight little slip. You know what I mean? Most people probably wouldn't notice, but somebody like me or you would be like, "Ooh," like,
Yeah.
where you just kind of take a step back
Yep.
and then just eat, right?
Yep.
You could tell
Yep.
because it shifts everything over a little bit, and and then I remember being like, I feel like that graphic because I've seen it in a few other fights where they start slipping on the graphic and whatnot. I don't know who's making these graphics on the canvas, whatever. So then it was one where they kind of like traded hooks. He got hit by it, but then while he was getting hit by the hook, I think it slipped out his front foot, maybe, if I'm remembering it correctly. But it looked like he was more slipping on the graphic than it was him getting knocked down, especially when when you trade hooks and get knocked down, that's one of those where it's like bad. So, that being said, it made it look worse than it was. I feel like from just my experience and watching it that it was more because of the graphic. So, it was
Okay.
a bit of kind of like unlucky knockdowns twice for Virgil. That being said, at the end of the day, if it's a punch, it is what it is. And those are 2 10-8 rounds. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Unless you really come back and dominate the round and make it like a,
It'd be a 9-9 then.
yeah, 9-9 exactly. So, um yeah, that's kind of where I was at with the 2 knockdowns. Other than that, Virgil really at the beginning of the fight was just trying to knock him out, man. It was like he was just swinging, 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 and he just kept doing it over and over. And there was a couple times where Bowenchuk was hurt, and Bowenchuk was coming back. That guy's chin was made of steel. And then later, Virgil started kind of boxing and slipping and moving. So you could tell that that type of style is there and he has the abilities to do the boxing movements and whatnot. I feel like had he started that from the beginning, it would have opened up more opportunities for his power to slip in and possibly get a knockout. But he was just trying to come forward and just be more of a bull, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you.
So that's kind of where I was with the fight. Even in those, they were very competitive rounds. I felt like a lot of them were just going towards Virgil. And then even I was watching it with my wife, and my wife was like, "Yeah, I thought Virgil won." And I was like, even with the
Right.
knockdowns and whatnot, she's like, "Yeah, I thought he won." So I wasn't surprised at the one judge calling it a draw, and then the other judges giving it to Virgil. I wasn't really surprised either. But this is another one of those instances where, just like the weekend prior with Madrimov,
Yeah.
how even in losing, his stock went significantly higher. I feel like Boachuk was the same thing. Nobody really knew who he was. Now he has a huge, like, everybody saw how tough this guy is, how
Hmm.
he can hit. I feel like his stock has raised a lot as well.
Well, he's still number 6 on the Ring TV rankings. That's only 2 behind, Virgil Ortiz, who's number 4 right now on Ring TV. So, or Ring Magazine, I should say. Um, so it's not It's not like he fell much at all in what we consider the most legit rankings that there are. You know what I mean?
For sure. And this is where Virgil wasn't even on it before.
Yeah.
And then now he is number 4.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I feel is appropriate. I feel like putting him above Tim Zoo, if you're looking at it, I mean, I guess, yeah, because Tim Zoo has the loss and, Virgil's undefeated. That was Virgil's also important to note that this was his first decision.
Oh, this is the first time he went to the judges.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So he's 22-0 with 21 KOs. But to my previous point, Tim Zoo having lost to Sebastian Fundora, I feel like it was just because of a freak accident.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
had he not been completely covered in blood and his hit the blood from his head just pouring out, I feel like he would before that happened, he looked like he was on route to stop it within 6.
Gotcha. And I think ultimately we'll find that I'm not trying to knock him up, but we'll find that Sebastian Fundora is not going to be at the top of the category of the division after the next couple names like a Tim Zoo or a Earl Spence or somebody like that get to him. You know what I mean? He's not going to be the guy with the belts. He's not going to be up there, at the top. He might be top 10, but he won't be top 5 or 6, I would say, after he loses the belts, because I think he will.
Yeah, I agree and disagree with that statement, and here's why. I agree with the point of what you're making, right? I agree with
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying. I feel like he has almost just an inflated position in the rankings because of that victory with Tim Zoo. It wasn't, a victory that was because of his boxing ability that he won.
Yes. And that's why I'm
So
saying this.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I understand. So, but where I disagree is that his next fight is going to be against Earl Spence in October. And depending on what we see out of Earl Spence, I don't know that Earl Spence is going to beat Sebastian Vendora. And he very well may beat him, but I just don't know that he's going to do it. I'm not really confident that he's going to do it right now. So if he beats Earl Spence, that's going to add to the aura of Fundora, if you know what I'm saying.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So people are going to be like, "Oh wow, he just beat Earl Spence," when Earl Spence could might not be the same fighter that he was before, and even fighting moving up to 154 when you fought 147-pound fighters all before, and then moving up to fight a guy who's like 6'6"
Yeah.
in Fundora, coming off the longest layoff of your career. I don't even know if that's true. He's come off a pretty long layoffs before, but
Yeah.
it's going to be tough
Well,
against Fundora. So I'm just not confident that he wins that fight.
the last long layoff would have been after the car accident, right?
I think so, man. It's like ever since like 2018, man, it was like every fight that he had was like at least over a year that it took him to fight because of the car accident, the eye injury, like all of these things.
Yeah.
He was scheduled to fight Pacquiao at one point.
Yeah.
That fight got canceled, and then they rescheduled it for Ugas. And then even then, I was like, all right, well, I guess it's going to be Spence versus Ugas because Pacquiao's not beating Ugas. And lo and behold, that was the case. But yeah, we definitely have some movement going on here. Like I said, we got Crawford at number 1, Madrimov at number 2, still, even with the
Yeah.
loss,
I
which
mean, because
I feel like is fine.
yeah, I still think he's better than Sebastian Fedora. I think he really does give Sebastian Fedora a major amount of problems if they ever fight. Like, I think that style is just not good for against Sebastian style, or Israel style is like the style that will just dominate Sebastian. I think in that the way the movement, all that, the over the top shots that he takes and throws. I just think being a tall guy like that, long jab to the body, Israel is definitely in my book, on the list better than Sebastian. One I'd like to see though is Israel and Virgil. That would be nice.
That would be nice, actually. I like that fight because if we look at, okay, what's the road to
Unification.
Yeah, what's the road to unification here? Right? So
Well,
we got Crawford, now has a WBA title, and he also has the interim WBO, which puts him
mhm,
in line for Fundora.
yep.
But Ortiz has the interim WBC, which puts him in line for Fundora as well. So which one of them gets that fight? I feel like, if you're a smart promoter, it has to be Crawford. De- assuming that Fundora beats Spence. If
Yes,
if not,
yes.
we could be looking at a future where Spence is the WBC, WBO
I
champion at
yeah,
154 pounds.
I think that's much more viable than you're saying. In my
Yeah.
opinion, I think it's much. I still believe in Spence. I mean, he lost to Crawford. I understand what you mean by the long layoffs, and that's never good. But he's fought enough to where sometimes long layoffs don't mean anything. It's more about your mental getting back in there, right, and getting your mental back. And getting beat the way he got beat by Terrence Crawford, he might need it to reset his mental, get back on the grind, get whatever he needed to do, get right that way, and then get back to it. But I think he still beats Sebastian. I think he ends up being the WBC or the WBC and the WBO champion. It's it's after that where does Terrence want that fight again? Does he give him that fight, or does somebody else go and get those belts or try to get those belts before, Terrence in that fight, that Terrence takes that fight.
I
But
think what could happen is if you look at the layout of the land here. Now we have, out of all of these names here, all right, we know Fundora, we know Crawford, we know Fundora, obviously. And then we see, like I said, Crawford's the WBO interim, and then Virgil is the WBC interim. We have Jermel Charlo as the champion of recess for both WBA and WBC, which essentially just means if he decides to come back, he'll be the mandatory to fight. I don't know that he comes back and reinserts himself at 154 pounds. I just don't. I'm not confident in that happening. Before I continue with my point, let me ask you: are you confident that Jermel Charlo will return to 154 pounds?
well, he's saying he wants to because he says he's the king of the division, right? That's still his division to run. He was the unified champion and all that kind of stuff. Um, so I hope he does because it would make this category even funner. You know what I mean? It would give it a little bit more spice to the group of fellas that are already. It's an interesting matchups for us, like, and a lot of good fighters. But throw Charlo into the mix, and it makes it a little bit more fun. You know what I mean? But who knows what they do? The Charlo brothers are. You never know. You never know what's going to happen with them. You just never know.
Yeah,
So
they're
I
not
don't.
all too reliable at the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah. So and then the only other guy we don't know is the IBF guy, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name.
Mutura Zaliev. Mutura Zaliev.
Bakram.
Bakram.
Okay, Bakram. We're gonna just say
Bakram Mutura Zaliev. So this is something that we were talking about. What's going on with this IBF title? Because the IBF
mhm.
title has to be in play somehow. And then right after we got off of our last show, I saw this news. Boom. Tim Zoo versus Murtazalayev negotiating for October 19th on Amazon Prime,
Non pay per
non-pay-per-view,
view.
which
Okay.
I'm cool with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Tim Zoo is now back in play, which I like. Oh, hold on a second.
Oh wow, in Orlando, Florida.
Oh, bro, we're going to that. Get out of town.
That's awesome.
Get
So
out
that's
of
gonna is that
town.
gonna be at the Carib?
I mean, probably. It's not going to be at
That
the Amway.
no, it's got to be Carib, right?
It's got to be,
Is
bro.
it with the zone?
Um, no. It said Amazon.
Or they don't, okay, so that's not the same then.
Amazon
So
Prime non-pay-per-view. Orlando, Florida, baby. Let's go.
is this
I'm
under
down for that.
is this under is this under Matchroom
I think it's under PBC, bro.
PVC?
I think so.
Okay,
Because they're the ones that have the deal with
Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah.
All right. Well, hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So this is October what?
19th.
Okay.
Dang,
In
yeah, we're gonna
Orlando.
have to do that. 100%.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. That'd be great.
100% we're gonna have to do that. Okay, well that being said, just looking at the fight in general, assuming that even if it's not in Orlando, this is good, man. If Zoo could beat this guy and then take the IBF title, now we're right back in here. I
Let's
feel like
yeah,
that moves him up definitely to number 4 in front of Virgil, and then he's in play with Crawford, back with Sebastian, and then whoever else can. I mean, Virgil's right there to insert himself.
oh yeah.
And then, okay, so to my point that I was making earlier, we had we were talking about, okay, does Crawford fight Earl Spence
Yeah.
again?
Only
And
if Earl wins.
if Earl wins, is it enough to make people forget about the whooping that he took?
If Earl gets a stoppage, it could be.
And then do we see possibly maybe Crawford versus Tim Zoo if Tim Zoo wins and then he takes the IBF, and then Crawford versus Spence 2 for undisputed at 154 pounds?
Yeah, you could see that, or you could also see Earl Spence fighting. Well, we will see Earl Spence fighting Fedora. The winner of that, since Virgil Ortiz is the WBA or the WBC mandatory, essentially, right?
Yeah, he
If
might have to fight him first.
fight Earl first, that's still a legit fight because that's still top 5 rankings that we're looking at. You know what I mean? Tim
Mhm.
Zoo fights Crawford. They combine the WBA and the IBF, and then there's a unified.
Yeah, I like that route because in the meantime, like if you got Fedora versus Spence and Zoo versus Myrtle Malayev on the same month,
Yeah.
Crawford just fought, Virgil just fought. So we're all on kind of the same timeline here.
Yep.
The winners of these fights, let's say if either Sebastian wins or Spence wins, I feel like the winner fights Virgil.
Yeah.
I don't think Crawford's going to fight the winner yet. And I mean, he definitely could. I feel like if it's Fundora, there's more of a chance than Spence. Or do
Yeah.
you disagree?
No, I agree with that. I think they go the route to where if Tim Zoo wins the IBF, Crawford and Tim Zoo would be much more interesting to start with, and him winning, and then Earl proving himself 2 more times, essentially Fundora, and then against or Ortiz.
Yeah, because I feel like if Tim Zoo wins, man, I feel like that's a big fight. Crawford versus Zoo.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that fight. Crawford versus Zoo,
And then
Fedora or Earl
versus
versus
Ortiz,
Virgil.
and then
And
hopefully we
then,
end up with Virgil and Crawford.
so what do you do with Boachuk and Madrimov?
Boachuk and Madrimov, let them fight,
That's what I was thinking, right? But
and
here's
then
here's the issue with that.
okay,
I don't know that they'll make that fight specifically because Madrimov is Russian and Boachuk is Ukrainian.
mm,
So
no, I mean Madrimov is Russian, but he's Uzbekistan.
is he?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
right
what it
there.
says right here.
Yeah,
All
he's
right. Well,
triple.
if he reps that, then let's go. Let's get it going. Because I mean,
Yeah,
that's the fight that makes sense, anyways. Both of them just lost. Both of their stocks went up.
yeah,
Boom, put them together. Matchmaking done.
well, yeah. We did it for you guys.
Yeah,
Period.
somebody pay me. The matchmaking's done here, bro. And then where's Lubin fall into this? I'm hearing that Lubin might possibly even get the winner of Zoo. That's something that I had seen as well. Was it in this article? Probably not.
Well, I mean,
Um,
there's plenty like Jesus Ramos. Is 21-1, 17 KOs. He's right below Erickson Lubin.
yeah,
Um,
put him in
Charles,
there with Lewin.
yeah, Charles Conwell. He's 20-0. He's ranked. I mean, we got to also realize that the guy Tim Tszyu is fighting, even though the guy's the champion, he's not ranked on the rankings we're looking at. Like,
Yeah,
Baccarat
exactly.
is not even ranked. So it's like they have Brian Mendoza over him, who doesn't have a title. They have Charles Conwell, who doesn't have a title.
And if you think about it, it's crazy that Mendoza's number 10.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, what, 2 fights ago, he knocked out Fedor cold.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's just, it's crazy. But, yeah, I mean, you got Conwell, Ramos, they could fight Lubin. Lubin could fight basically maybe even the loser of either these two or him and Spence or Zua Boachuk or, there's ways to place somebody in there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like the roads are going to go towards Crawford going towards undisputed. And I don't think there needs to be any other fights in between that aren't unification fights. Example being, I don't think Crawford versus Tszyu right now would be a fight to make. I don't think Crawford versus Ortiz right now is a fight to make, even though Turkey is talking about it. His Excellency, what's his face? Oscar De La Hoya is talking about it right now. I just don't see why that fight makes sense in this part of Crawford's career. Why are you going to go collect an interim title when you can just go fight somebody with an actual title?
Yeah.
I
agree. I mean, I'm really kind of upset that they don't give Crawford the ring title. Like,
I mean, he really should have had the ring title.
Yeah, like you fought if you're saying he's number 2, Crawford's number 1, they literally just fought.
They should have just awarded it. But I guess the issue is now is that beforehand, Crawford wasn't even ranked on here.
Gotcha.
So I think that's where the issue lies.
I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's like you're literally putting them 1 and 2, and then you're telling me that they need to fight again so you can give Crawford the ring title. I don't know, but I get what you're saying. Like, he wasn't ranked before, so.
And then we have middleweight. We got Lara, who's gonna fight. What's his face? Swift, Danny Garcia.
Yeah, that's gonna be I'm really interested in that one.
That's crazy. I think that's a wild fight.
Yeah.
We got, what's his face? Janibek. I don't know. He might move up. Adames in here. This is one of those divisions where 160 and 147 used to really be the divisions that everyone wanted to talk about, and now it's like 154s.
Yeah.
I feel like taking all the shine.
And 135. Like, the lightweights, they talk about those. We talk about these guys all the time. You know what I mean?
For sure. I mean, I feel like it definitely had more movement with some of the, or not even movement, but just more talk. And unfortunately, there was a lot of fights that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have guys who've moved up, like Teofimo. You got Teofimo, Haney, who doesn't even, I don't know how this guy's still.
Let's talk about this. Something that popped off a day ago. Haney punching somebody in the middle of a fair and throwing the first punch.
Yeah, a fair. He punches somebody, doesn't even phase the guy. It's like a normal civilian.
Yeah.
Doesn't even phase him.
Like, throws the first punch behind 2 people over a dude's shoulder. That's where you throw your first punch. And then your boys hit him, and then the guy squares up with one of his other boys.
And then Haney just walks off.
Yeah, walks off like he didn't do nothing. Dude,
I gotta find this video.
Oh, it's so horrible. It's so horrible. And I just want to, I'm bringing this up because of all the crybaby nonsense bullshit that he's talking about. And then he goes and does that to a normal civilian at a fair. You know what I mean? Like, you're a world championship boxer. I'm staring at you right now to rank number 1 behind the ring champion, Teofimo Lopez. And you're 31-0. And there you go, right there.
Bro, how corny is this guy?
I was trying to say, I hope he gets sued for $1.5 million. The same amount that Ryan.
Oh, that was Haney throwing the first punch.
Yep.
Behind his boy.
Yep. And then look, none of them. This kid holds his own, man. Like, good for him.
And then Haney just walks off.
Yep. And from my understanding was that dude was working at the fair.
Nuts. Let's see what it says. Yeah, see, Haney's just walking off. I mean, bro, this is why, like, when people were talking about when we were hating on Haney, or at least I was. I won't
Uh,
necessarily drag you into it.
oh, you can drag me into it. I was
When we
too.
were hating on Haney, especially after the whole way that he was handling the Ryan Garcia fallout, my issue is the way they were handling it, bro. It's like the character of these guys, him and his dad and whatnot, the things they do, and then this is
Perfect
how it is,
example.
bro.
Perfect example.
And it's like if he this is what I was saying before is he's like a baby, he's like a entitled brat. The guy, if he doesn't get his way, and I feel like this falls in line with that type of behavior, bro. You're gonna punch the kid while you're standing behind your boy. And first of all, you're like a championship professional boxer,
Yeah.
and you're gonna punch the kid. We saw that clear as day. Punches the kid behind his little security guard over here, and then you're gonna let your other boys fight him, and then you're just gonna leave. What on earth? Doesn't even make sense.
None of it. None of it. I cannot believe like it. I mean, I can believe it because of what goes on in the world, but at the same time, it's like, bro, don't act the way you act, and then you're all upset about somebody
It says a few
cheating or
seconds
all.
later, as the fight continued, sirens could be heard, which seemed to prompt Haney to walk away from the scene. I don't believe that. I think let's listen to it. It sounds like he walked away before the sirens. Watch. Oh, I guess
Kind of
maybe
same
it's
time.
kind
Kind
of
of
right at the
same
same
time.
time, but it already
Yeah.
looks like he was trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
And then it looks like maybe he made contact with some sort of a
I think what
fair security or
that I
police.
feel like he also might have saw cameras on him, and people might have realized, okay, if they're throwing cameras, maybe they actually know who I am.
Yeah, well, everyone's gonna know who he is.
But
Where they
that's
met
just,
someone who claimed to be the victim of assault and battery. I hope he gets charged
oh yeah, absolutely.
because he tries to. My issue with this whole situation with the Ryan Garcia is that him and his dad try to stand on this moral high ground of, oh, they cheated and blah blah blah. Like they didn't cheat Prograis the day
Yeah.
of the fight, and and then even though he was an enhanced fighter, there's no proof that it was in any way beneficial to the performance.
At all.
You can
At all.
argue about how it got into his system. There was no benefit to the fighter.
And then you're gonna go and then later on you're gonna get your O back after you bitch moan and complain about all this stuff, blah blah blah, and then you end up punching someone in the street and you throw the first punch. I understand if somebody's attacking you, but you throw the first punch. You're a world championship undefeated boxer because you got your O back, right? So you're world champion, undefeated boxer, and you're telling me that you just think it's okay to throw a punch at somebody in the street to start with? No,
Yeah,
no,
it's nuts. It's
no. It's
and
crazy.
it's funny too because it's like it goes into. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find this. Trying to find something else, but yeah, it's just ridiculous. How are you gonna? It does nothing to him.
Yeah.
Sit there and eat it.
And it's not like the guy was following you and bothering you. You literally were surrounding this dude at his job. It looked like I thought he was a fair worker.
Whether he was, yeah, he might have been, but even if he wasn't, he's just I don't like the whole like, oh, we have a whole squad and you're just one person thing either.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not
That's
at all.
lame. So yeah, thanks for bringing this back up because that was lame. And then I want to pull up this other picture I have of Devin Haney. I guess he was at the fight. What was it? The Crawford fight.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm just surprised that he's even showing his face in public now. This is what he was looking like. Let's pull this up right here. This is what Haney looked like. And then he's saying the game ain't been the same. About time I come back. I would say the comeback, but I never left. See you soon, brother. Bro, you said that you were going to take a year off like 2 weeks ago. What are we even talking about, bro? How corny is this guy? Like anybody cares, bro. This is exactly what, bro. He did the Rob Gronkowski thing. You know what I'm talking about or no?
But Rob Gronkowski's important.
Yeah, exactly. He actually did something, and he's intimidating too.
Yeah, and he
Um,
especially on the field, right? Like he wins Super Bowls for with Tom Brady. That's what he does.
Bro, like what Rob Gronkowski said when they were talking about trading him, and he
Yeah,
was like, "Oh, like they already had a deal to trade him." He found out about it. He goes, "Oh, how are you going to trade me? I'm retired."
yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, you're retired?" He's like, "Yeah, I just retired. How are you going to trade me?" And they were like, "All right, I guess not." And then he just unretired, so he didn't get traded.
He even
This
said it
is
on
just
like
the
NFL
yeah,
Live or
yeah.
something
He
like
went.
that.
He was on the show and he said it, bro.
He
This is
goes,
like
"Yo,
what Haney did because he didn't want to take that small purse bid,
yeah,
and then he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take some time off." And then after they're like, "All right, well, we're just gonna make you champion in recess," where he still gets to hold on to some sort of a title, right?
yeah,
He's back to where he was before when he had his email champion status.
exactly,
He's right.
exactly."
It's gone full circle, full 360. He's back to that where he kind of can hold on to a title, but it's not really his.
Well,
And now he goes, "Oh, well, the game ain't been the same." Bro, dog, nobody misses you.
I mean, essentially, his whole he won another decision because he had more people in his corner than somebody else this recently. And then he also didn't get a finish because he has pillow hands, apparently. And
Bro,
even did that at a fair. So
it's crazy.
yeah, it's
It's just
nuts.
crazy. Yeah, this
Nuts.
guy, but I think it's fair to say that I'm just not a fan.
Not at all. I'm not either, man. Like I don't like once you do things like that, it's hard for me to like I can admit greatness when it comes to like talent. Like John Jones is the greatest, you know what I mean? When it comes to, MMA, you can argue that. There's Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player in my eyes, but he might be an asshole. You know what I mean? Like in real
Mhm.
life, it could be really like I've never met him. So once you do something like that, I have no respect for you anymore. Like you've lost it. Like I'm done. You know what
The
I mean?
issue with Haney, bro, is that this guy, so he, like when he was coming up, he had a little bit of aura, but not really.
Yeah.
And then once he got hurt by Linares, everyone was kind of like, he just hasn't been exposed yet. He made all these demands and moves or whatever, got emailed the championship. People didn't like that, but people were still defending him. He fights Lomachenko and basically gets given a decision that a lot of people thought he lost.
Oh
So
yeah.
now it's one of those where we're talking about these other guys that even with losses, their stock goes up. It's like
Yep.
every time this guy fights, his stock goes lower. Like even with wins, his stock is going lower.
Well, it's because the last couple of wins have been bullshit, and then he loses one, and
And then
then
he
he loses.
loses, and then they give it to him anyways.
Yeah,
Or
it's crazy.
essentially, yeah, not a win, but a no contest. But whatever, it might as well be.
Yeah,
So
who
he's
knew?
the guy's lost 2 fights and he's undefeated. How does that work? But
It's I just like I said, like once you do something like that in public, man, I'm done with you. You take a punch at a regular dude in public and you're a world championship boxer, I'm done with you.
that's what I'm saying. I got some other news here. We'll go ahead and let me share this one. This is about the boxing league that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Turkey proposes to create boxing league under the Saudi Boxing Wealth Fund and has offered to buy out promoters of Golden Boy Matchroom, Queensbury Boxing for $4 to $5 billion. He
Wow.
plans to buy out Top Rank and the PVC and force fighters to fight each other during establishing. Hold on, whoops.
Uh,
During establishing, where was I? Establishing who really is the best and putting an end to all duck seasons, duck stripping, and duck vacating, forever ending the careers of those AFN status forever. Are you in favor of the new boxing league? Yes or no?
yes, 100%. Let's go. And if you could, and this is even better because like the UFC is like what we like the UFC and Dana White because he makes fights. even though we just saw, a Khalil Roundtree versus Alex Pereira fight, being called. And I'm gonna tell everybody that real quick. My little thing is he's getting given that fight because he saved 2 cards. So I'm moving past that. But anyways, Dana White makes fights happen. They always see it. There's one league we want to see fights happen. The only fight we haven't got to see yet that we always wanted to see was Ngannou versus John Jones in MMA, right? We always thought we'd get to see something like that. They were talking about it for a while. May not get to see that, but every other fight we try to
we pretty much get, man.
We get, yeah, like we really do get. We got our grudge match last night with DDP and Israel Adesanya, so that came to fruition. A lot of different other, you know what I mean? We may never get Chandler and Connor, but
it's not like that's a fight that needs to happen.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
in boxing, there's fights that need to happen, and then they don't get made. This is a fight that 100%. It's like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Yes. Like Connor's coming back. Who's he gonna fight? I guess we'll give him Chandler. And so now, for some reason, it still hasn't happened.
Yeah. So the long ass point I'm trying to get to is when the UFC started, they were small entity, not a lot of money. So they had to build themselves, and then they started being able to do stuff. This man has the money. He has the money, right? Like the amount of money that it matters the most, right? He has it. And now he can literally buy out all these things and still pay fighters the money that they want to get them to fight each other.
Yeah.
Like that's why this is so important. This would have got us Mayweather Pacquiao way sooner. Like way sooner.
Oh,
we would have got that so much quicker when we wanted to see it, not 7 years later. And past their primes. We would have saw it when we originally, hey, we need to see this fight. We need to see this fight. We would have saw it then. So this is great for boxing. I mean, this is absolutely great if it happens. If it happens. And then let's make one belt, the Ring TV, like we talked about before. Let's make that the belt.
For sure. I'm definitely down for that. And like I've been saying, take all the other titles, they can still exist, but essentially just make them secondary titles where you can call yourself a world champion, but you're not the champion of boxing.
Yeah.
Right. Then we don't need to have all these unification fights and this and that. And who knows, maybe these organizations might just shut down and cease to exist because now they can't launder money all sorts of things of that nature anymore.
Yes, absolutely.
So, who knows? Speaking of, I'll bring something up real quick. Let me bring this up. So I got 2 stories for us that both essentially have to do with the same thing. And I'll share that right here. So, will these controversial title decisions impact the WBA's reputation and standing in the boxing community? WBA faces backlash for recent title sanctioning decisions. Danny Garcia has been controversially awarded at a middleweight title shot despite having only one fight above the welterweight limit in the past 2 years. Additionally, WBA President Gilberto Mendoza consideration of a title fight for YouTuber Jake Paul has raised eyebrows. So WBA's including sanctioning of Garcia versus Lara. Yeah. This is also kind of goes off of the back of what I was saying, 2 weeks ago, where I was wondering how Berlanga was able to pass up Morrell for the WBA title. And it was because they basically awarded Morrell. You could tell they made a sweet deal for Morrell and gave him the regular title at 175, even though they're not supposed to do that anymore. That was their way of getting around it. There's definitely, I think if you were to go in the offices of the WBA, it would smell like, a local fish market at the harbor or something like that. If you get what I'm saying, it's smelling fishy in the offices of the WBA.
It's getting like, to ever consider Jake Paul for a world championship title shot after there's so many other people that actually we can look at any category that is ranked above him in any significant way at all is asinine to say that he should get a title shot. That's literally money grabbing. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Paul can pay all of the fees and everything like that, 1. And then 2, that it'll turn the WBA will blow up if Paul actually got the title. because he would talk about it all the freaking time.
But look at this one too. So I got another one to add on to it. So BoxRec removes WBA from records. This is huge. The
Wow.
WBA, boxing's oldest recognized sanctioning body, has been removed from BoxRec, the sport's official record keeper. This came about following the WBA's controversial decision to take fight data and fighter photos from BoxRec to establish a new relationship with FightFacts, a lesser-known competitor. The WBA announced this shift during the WBA Asia Convention in Vietnam, marking a significant change in the boxing landscape. FightFacts, which had been dormant since 2011, relaunched its social media accounts and website earlier this year, sparking speculation about its return. Adding to the intrigue, the WBA has partnered with Turki Al-Sheikh, prominent Saudi sport promoter, raising questions about the future of boxing's record keeping. Critics have noted that the new FightFacts website bears a striking resemblance to BoxRec, leading to accusations of data theft and confirmed concerns about the integrity of the information. Data theft is a huge thing, bro. You can't just like acquire all, because that's essentially what BoxRec is. It's a data website.
Yeah,
So you can't just
it
steal
acquired. Yeah,
all the data.
yep. They acquired all that.
Yeah, you can't just steal it and be like, hey, we're gonna give it to your competitors.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, that's a huge thing. I feel like the ABC needs to go back in. I've gone on rants about this, but yeah, the WBA, I mean, WBC is doing sketchy stuff. The IBF is
So
where undisputed championships go to die. You know what I mean? We
so
got
the ABC is called what? The Allied Boxing Commission, or the what is that? What is it called?
ABC, the Association of Boxing Commissions.
The Association of Boxing Commissions. So let's be real for a second. Why don't the ABC just become the thing? Why do we have to have a WBC, a WBA, a IBF, and all that kind of stuff? If you sanction those places, the other sanctioning bodies, if you can control them in a sense or do things to them to hinder them in whatever way, fashion, why aren't you just running the titles?
I think what it is that the ABC is a United States thing. I might be wrong on this. I feel like it's a United States thing where they can essentially say, hey, we recognize your titles in the United States. A lot of these world title organizations are based out of like Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. That's where their headquarters are at.
Gotcha.
So, you know, they can't just say like they could say, oh, we're not going to recognize the WBA, but essentially, from what my understanding of it, it's that they won't be recognized in the United States, which is, I feel like, is kind of the leader of saying almost the world.
Yeah, no,
But
I
who
get what
knows?
you're saying.
Yeah, it could
I
be
mean, that makes
different.
sense.
I
That
don't
makes sense.
understand it completely, but yeah, that's what we got going on with that. But moving back to the one and only boxing, what was it? The boxing like
Box rec?
umbrella.
Oh, boxing
No,
umbrella.
no, no, no. The Saudi thing.
Oh yeah, the one organization to rule them all.
Exactly. So there's one fight. If they could make, what's the fight right now in boxing that's not being made that should be made?
Oh, David Benavidez versus Canelo.
David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez. So,
or Tank Davis versus Shakur. But I did see that if
nobody
you're
cares
bringing
about
up
no Shakur Stevenson, bro.
but no, this is definitely obviously this is the bigger of the fight. But didn't they offer Canelo 300 million? I heard.
I don't think they offered Canelo 300 million because
That's a fake line.
I've seen
Can't remember fake
that His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh is kind of like openly beefing with Canelo right now.
line. Okay.
He's saying things along the lines of, you know, Canelo's making outrageous claims. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to accept our terms. He just wants to do what he wants. He wants to take easy fights, blah, blah, blah. And as a Canelo fan, I don't disagree with Turki. I feel like that's what Canelo is doing. Canelo, since he became undisputed, and then after he lost to Bivol, I don't know if it's just a lack of training, but it seems like there's been a decline, and he's just been fighting opposition that hasn't been the best. And
Yeah.
it's now culminated into the antithesis of that whole idea, which is Edgar Berlanga as
Why
the fight that he's taking.
why are you such a hater, bro? I thought you were a Canelo fan. Don't you want to see him win? Why are you hating so much? Stop hating.
I am a Canelo fan, but bro, Edgar Berlanga has no business being in the
No,
ring
not
with
whatsoever.
Canelo.
You're 1,000% right.
But to my point, if Canelo is on the downturn, this could possibly be the chance for him to be upset by somebody like Edgar Berlanga. Will it happen? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. I'm gonna say no.
No, it's not happening. He honestly, I think he finally comes back and he gets this kid out of there.
But
I
that
think he
being
gets
said,
I think he gets himself a finish in this one.
let's see what Benavidez says. At Turkey Al Sheikh, let's bring the biggest and most exciting fight to Saudi Arabia. This will be the biggest Mexican versus Mexican fight. Hold on a second. Okay, this is what happens when you're on Facebook. This will be the biggest Mexican versus Mexican Mexican American fight in the history of boxing. And what better place to do it than the kingdom for the entire world to see? This fight is for pride and glory. I fight for greatness, not money, Your Excellency. If I do not beat Canelo, I will donate my entire purse to any kid's charity of your liking. When I do beat Canelo, I will be donating a huge amount of that purse to benefit children hunger across the world. I am a champion of the people, and I will continue to fight the best. I stand on my words. Premier Boxing WBC Moro. I feel like Benavidez really believes in himself and his abilities and wants that Canelo fight, where at this moment it just seems like Canelo just is trying to avoid that fight.
Yeah.
It's hard
I
to
agree.
argue against it. You know what I mean?
It is. I think it's just one of those things where he doesn't need it. I don't know that he's scared. I don't want to say it's scared to fight someone, but at the end of your career to take that, I don't know that he's ready to. I don't know that he's ever going to be the guy that's going to hand off the torch.
Yeah, if he's gonna be that guy, that's
Like, in wrestling, like, when they do they're gonna what they call it, they have a certain word for it. We're gonna let you get over. We're gonna let you get over. Like, we're gonna get you over this today. So, The Rock would come in and he loses the Cody Rhodes to get Cody Rhodes over, or whatever it may be. Roman Reigns does it to get over, and you do that as a rite to passage. Like, hey man, I know you're the next thing. I'm gonna beat you, and I'm gonna solidify my thing, and you'll still be the next thing, or you beat me, and that's pretty much that's it. You know
it
what
was
I mean?
like when Adesanya fought Silva.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I don't know that he's ever gonna be that person, but if Canelo doesn't fight David Benavidez and retires or fights any other fight after this and continues on this path and then retires without fighting Benavidez, does it put a stain on his legacy?
No.
You don't think so?
I mean, there always will be that what if. You know what I mean? There'll always be that what if. But I feel like he's done enough, man. He's done enough.
I feel like I don't know if it's even a good analysis, but you have somebody like let's take the president of the United States. Guy's been in office, he's done his thing, who's vice president, president, and then now essentially has been pushed out of the presidential race. It's one of those things where it's like, are people gonna, because you could say the same question, are people gonna remember that as man, he almost got kind of bullied out of the race, and not remember all the other, some people would say accomplishments that he has? I'm sure half of America is going to debate on it, but when you look at the accomplishments of, vice president, president, blah, 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 does that put a stain on it? I feel like this is kind of almost the same thing, where it's like, okay, you've had all these titles and whatnot, but when it came down to it at the end and everybody wanted you to fight this guy, and everyone was saying you needed to fight this guy, this was the guy to fight. You avoided him, and you didn't fight him, and then you bowed out. You know what I'm saying? Is it going to be? Does that change anything?
It's a great point, and your analogy makes massive amount of sense to me when you said like with the president and everything. Like, the only difference in that analogy in my thought process is that in this so-called, the person you're talking about getting bullied or taken out, or however they want to look at it, the presidential race, did he have a moment in his career that was just, to me, in my eyes, that was just unbelievably defying? Like, when you think of presidents of past, like George W. Bush, right? He had to deal with 9/11. So he always had something. So he went after something, and he had a moment in his presidency that people are going to remember him for, how he dealt with this, how he did something, right? The pandemic was kind of 2 presidencies, so you can't really claim that to be yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's not really anything there. Whereas Canelo has
that
Triple
would have
G.
been the thing to claim.
It
You
would
know
have
what I
been,
mean? But like you said, it kind of gets divided.
yeah, it gets divided into 2 presidencies in that, because
Yeah.
you wasn't one
It's like
straight.
if somebody had beat Triple G first, and then you fought Triple G, and then you beat him, and then you were like, "Hey, you know what? I beat him." You
Exactly.
know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly. Canelo has Triple G, and I don't want anybody. No one should ever forget how great Triple G was. Like, y'all don't
Oh
understand
yeah,
that
he was the guy.
that draw sucked the life out of boxing for Triple G. I believe. I really wholeheartedly
He's
believe
never
this.
been the same.
It's that he put so much faith into boxing because he gave so much of his life to it. He put faith in it that when he performed as hard as he did and fought the best in the world, even though he didn't knock this guy out, that they would have gave the right guy the win, and he should have won the first fight. Like, that was not a draw. That 118, 111 scorecard is absolutely retarded.
Oh, the 108, 110.
No, the Sue Bird had
Or
118,
118, yeah, 118.
110 is what. Yeah, like,
That's
that's
what
what
I
I
mean.
mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was outrageous. That's absolutely
Adelaide
ridiculous.
Bird, yeah, she
Yeah.
was blind in that fight.
Oh,
I
she's
think
blind.
I think the thing is with that fight, if you look at the first 3 rounds and the last 3 rounds, there's an argument of a draw because they were closer rounds compared to the rounds that Triple G obviously won, and I don't think there's really an argument for a Canelo scorecard in that
No,
fight. I
no.
feel like there is an argument for a draw in those rounds because they were competitive rounds and you can give them to Canelo. But there's not an argument for a Canelo scorecard in any sense in that.
No.
And then even the Canelo draw argument is a tougher argument.
Yeah, and I had Triple G. I had it Triple G winning, and I was rooting for Canelo hard. I still had Triple G winning, and I was like, oh, I was on Canelo's jock that night, trying
For
to,
sure.
rooting for him. And I had Triple G winning, and I was like, when it was a draw, I was like, what?
Yeah, it just didn't make
Wow,
sense. And then
didn't make
even in the
sense at all.
second, but so here's the thing though, right? We're agreeing that Canelo's thing is that he beat Triple G.
Yeah.
Well, there's a stain on that in the first fight where everyone's like, I would say if you ask like 80%, 90% of people that are unbiased, they would say, yeah, Canelo lost. Then you go to the second fight. There's a lot of people that thought Canelo lost the second fight. You know what I mean? I didn't think. I thought he won it.
I thought he
But
won it by a couple rounds at the most.
yeah, exactly. I thought he won it by. I thought it was like 7-5
I've never
that he
seen
won the fight.
I've never seen Triple G lean over from body shots from like them hurting him. Like, they weren't. I don't want to say he was like wincing in pain, but he was definitely slowing down, and the body shots were like things
They
were
were
finally
effective.
getting. Yeah, things
Yeah.
were finally getting to Triple G that fight that you didn't see before. You know what I mean?
And then the other point too is because people would, I remember, go back in time to 2018, even into 2019, people were arguing, oh, Canelo lost that fight too, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, Triple G's own trainer said he lost.
Yeah.
And then Triple G fired him that he's been with for forever. Because that's how butthurt Triple G was. But
Yeah.
regardless, is that obviously Canelo's going to disagree. So it doesn't really matter. But there's people that thought that he lost that fight too. So the thing that is because I get what your point and what you're saying, and I like the angle you're taking with it. But there's arguments to that accomplishment even being a stain. You know what I mean? So for example, like the George W. Bush thing. oh, his thing was that he handled 9/11. Well, a lot of people be like, oh, well, how did he handle it?
Yeah.
Did he
I
have
mean, I get,
involvement in it? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. People, you could go into a whole rabbit hole with that, and then you talk about weapons of mass destruction and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Then it's like, okay, is that an accomplishment or is it a stain? You know
yeah.
what I mean? But I get exactly what you're saying, and I do like the analogy too.
I,
But I feel
I
like
just
if
feel like,
Canelo does this and goes on to David Benavidez, like I don't know, does he need it?
I mean, he doesn't need it to finish out being one of our generational fighters of all time. Like like he's a generational fighter. Period. End. Only comes around once in a generation. Things like that. He's gonna go down as a legend. Period. And I don't think he needs this. But do we all want to see it? And will it help solidify it? And if he does take it, and even if he takes it, to me, it helps him no matter what. Right? If he fights David Benavidez, I feel like it helps him no matter what. Like
Yeah.
winning, losing, it helps him. But he's also a man that doesn't want to lose. He's only lost twice. He's had 2 draws and he's lost twice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't.
He's had 65 fights, bro.
That's crazy.
That's
It's crazy.
insane. That's an insane amount of fights. Almost 40 KOs.
15 more than
After
Mayweather.
this fight, he'll have 40 KOs.
Yep. Yeah, he will.
But I mean, you look at his resume, bro. Like, all right, so we had a bunch of hit Miguel Vasquez. He had a bunch of fights in a ton of fights in Mexico.
Yeah, but that
He
what
was younger.
when he was what, like he got out of there, like he stopped fighting there when he was like he started fighting there.
19.
Yeah, that's what I was about to
Well,
say.
he
It was like,
started fighting there when he was 15.
yeah, 15.
And then he fought Miguel Cotto's brother. He fought Baldemir, Matthew Hatton,
Yeah.
Ryan Rhodes, Gomez, Kermit Cintron, throwback, Shane Mosley, even though
Yep.
he's older, Josecito Lopez, that was coming off of the win where he broke Victor Ortiz's jaw, because Victor Ortiz was supposed to be the fight.
Yeah.
He had back-to-back fights where he was supposed to fight another guy. He was supposed to fight Victor Ortiz. Josecito Lopez broke his jaw, so he fought him. Then he was supposed to fight Miguel Cotto. Austin Trout beat Miguel Cotto, so then he fought him. So he had Austin Trout. Then he loses to Mayweather, even though we had a contracted 152-pound catch weight that nobody likes to talk about. And then his next 5 fights were at a contracted
There was and
155.
that 152 definitely had a rehydration clause in it too. Don't nobody forget
Yeah.
about that. That definitely had a rehydration clause in it.
And he fights Angulo. He fights Lara. That's a fight that, there was people that thought he lost too. You know what I mean? It was a split decision. This Levi Martinez scorecard is definitely questionable. Dave Moretti's fair. Jerry Roth is fair. I think it could have went either way, 115, 113. Kirkland sent him into orbit. Miguel Cotto, that was like one of the best wins of his career.
Yeah.
Amir Khan decapitated. Liam Smith snatched his body. Chavez Jr., this is when he was at least still kind of good. And then now we're getting into the draw.
Gifted.
The win.
Yep.
Rocky Fielding, easy fight for him. Danny Jacobs, great performance. Still a tough fight.
Yep. Kovalev
knocked him out cold. That was insane, going up to 175 pounds. Like,
Yep.
look at this jump. 15 pounds, bro.
Yep.
And then people need to remember, like, when he was fighting at 155, people were saying, like, oh, he doesn't want to fight. He does 55, 55, 54 and a half, essentially 55, 55, 55, 154. People were saying that he was scared to go up to 160 to fight Triple G. So then he goes to 164, 160, 160 again, 168, 160, and then 175. It's insane.
And 168 again.
Callum Smith, undefeated champion, mandatory challenger, takes him out in 3. Undefeated champion, stops him. Undefeated champion, stops him. Then he has his loss to Bivol.
Which in real life, Bivol could go down as one of the top 175 pounders ever. depending on what happens to him in the next fight as well.
Trilogy with Triple G. Triple G is a lot older at this point.
Yeah.
Mandatory challenger and Ryder. So now we're riding 4 decisions in a row, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he fought Gennady, he was kind of fading. When he fought Dimitri Bivol, I thought he lost because he was fading.
Yeah.
When he fought Ryder, he knocked him down in like the 6th, I want to say, round 5. Ryder down in round 5. Charlo down in round 7. Munguia down in round 4. So he's knocked down each of these guys except for Triple G.
Well, yeah, but Charlo's whole game plan was to stay alive. That's all he was trying to do.
Fair, very fair. And then some people said that with Munguia, he just carried him.
Well, I felt Munguia was still trying to fight, though. At least he was still for there, like trying to throw hands. Sure. You know what I mean? Like his game plan was still to throw, whether he was getting carried or not. He was trying to bang it out. But
I go here because I want to go to David Benavidez.
Yeah.
Stops Lemieux. Beats up Plant.
Yep.
Stops Andrade.
Retired on the stool, right?
Yep. He was retired.
So, yeah, I mean, it just comes down to I mean, it would just be a shame in boxing.
It would.
It almost seems like right now with this boxing league thing going on, the only fighter that's a little bit like too big for that would be Canelo.
Yeah.
And if Canelo's going to either retire and not fight Benavidez, or he fights Benavidez and it's under Saudi, it's like one or the other. It's like either way, you're getting rid of Canelo. You're either he's joining him or he's going to get rid of him because he's going to retire and there's going to be no one else to fight. I feel like this Saudi league's the way things are going to go.
Oh, it makes sense. But can we box rec? Can we do my man David Benavidez a favor and get him another picture?
All right.
Like that just whatever he's doing with his beard right there is not
terrible.
That's Like, can we
That's
do
his fault, bro. You shouldn't have taken that photo. I mean, yeah, compare it to Plant's beard. Plant's beard's looking good. And you got Canelo's beard with the ginger beard.
Just all of them look a little bit more like, okay, they.
Yeah. But that being said, we'll see what happens. Anything else you want to touch up on?
No, that's about it for right now, man. We what's coming up on the what? Let's just take a peek at the schedule real quick.
We had some fights last night. We had some fights in the middleweight division. I didn't check it out yet. It was on Top Rank. I didn't check it out because I was watching the UFC, to be honest.
Yes, I was too.
Yeah, because when you got a big UFC card and just, like an average boxing card, I'm watching the big UFC card.
Yeah, I wanted to watch the grudge match too, so.
Yeah, bro.
Which I can't, man. Izzy was doing so well.
The King of Africa? The King of Africa match? Bro, it's insane how this guy Drakus literally is so sloppy. He's so goofy, but still, like, it works for him. Like, how are you able to strike and win
against Sean, against Izzy?
Yeah. It's definitely strange. It's definitely strange.
My boy Lane was talking about Benavidez looking daggy with that beard.
Yeah.
He did, right? He did.
He really did. Yeah, he looked exactly like that.
That's funny. Shout out to Lane.
So we have on the schedule coming up, we have in Plant City, Florida on Wednesday, we have Jarrett Hurd versus
Jason Banana Rosario.
And then the main event is apparently Arios Carrera versus Michael Angeletti.
Yeah, I don't even know those guys.
No, those either. And then coming up August 23rd, I don't know those. And then Saturday you have the Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus John Gotti exhibition.
Which it's John Gotti the third, but it's the second exhibition they've had. So it really should be John Gotti 3-2.
2, yeah.
Yeah, which is like nobody asked for it.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, nobody.
So
I didn't even care. I didn't even know the first one happened until I saw like the scuffle or some nonsense that happened in it.
yeah, it looks like Chris Colbert's coming back. That's good for him. Let's see what he could do. And then yeah, we got a bunch of Victor Ortiz is fighting. No way.
Oh wow.
An 8-rounder, huh?
Okay.
Let's see what we got there.
And then the next big big fight for a champion or anything like that coming up would be in Tokyo on Tuesday, September 3rd with the Monster.
Oh, the
Inoue.
Monster's fighting again?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, in a way.
Anyway, yeah.
it feels like not too long ago. He was just when was that? Was that May that he fought?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Neri, and he knocked Neri
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Now he's fighting TJ Dehenny, 12
Yeah.
rounds for the junior.
Where was I?
Featherweight.
I was in Spain. I was in Spain when that fight was going down. And what's crazy is that typically the you know how those Japan fights are at like 6 a.m.
Uh-huh.
and it's terrible. Yeah, so in Spain I'm like ahead of time, so it was at like noon for me.
That's
So it
awesome.
was perfect. Yeah, we were out at
Yeah.
like lunch somewhere. I was like, oh, I put my phone up. I'm like, I'm watching this one, and then it was a good fight. So I was like, damn,
Yeah.
this is sick. I'm actually happy I get to watch a Inoue fight at a decent time.
I woke up at I got a alarm set and I woke up at 8 o'clock to watch it.
Oh yeah,
It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I sat there and watched it before I left or whatever like that. Whatever it happened, I woke up and I did that before I ever left.
shout out to Kyle Thomas, Fight Bananas. I've been keeping an eye on you guys. Keep it up. I pre-approved all your post fights in Fight Junkie, so you can get more posts out quick. Love what you guys are about. Appreciate it, Kyle.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Thank
you, bro. For real.
Thank you, my man.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's what's up. Really appreciate that. But yeah, man. So let's see what we got on the schedule. Ismael Barroso's fighting again. This is the guy I was talking about.
Yeah. What where's that one at? I was trying to see it on mine. What oh, he's on the Tokyo card. Okay.
Yeah, so then we got some other stuff. Yeah, so we got some stuff going down September 14th. Obviously, Canelo stripped of IBF title ahead of the fight. That's a big deal. Lara versus Garcia, Plant. Stephen Fulton is fighting.
Yeah, that's a great card.
Romero is fighting, bro. Rolando Romero's coming back. I seen him on TikTok live. He's playing
Rolly, baby. Rolly Romero says he needs a comeback.
And then the week after, we got Dubois versus Joshua for the IBF title at heavyweight, which will put either Dubois or Anthony Joshua right back in the mix.
I think Anthony Joshua goes ahead and takes care of business on this one.
I think so too, because Dubois was getting hit with a lot of big shots from Hrgovic.
Yeah.
And I don't think you take those shots from Anthony Joshua, bro.
No, not at all. That actual card is actually pretty solid. You got Joshua Bustai versus Willie Hutchinson, and we watched Willie Hutchinson on the 5v5, on the Saudi card. Then you got Liam Smith versus Josh Kelly. You remember Josh Kelly?
Yeah.
Like he had that loss, and he was he was doing all that, fancy footwork and things like that, and like he was a little flashy with it and stuff. So you got Liam Smith versus Josh Kelly, so that's not a bad one.
This guy, Kasaki, versus Josh Warrington. Kasaki, he just won the IBF title.
Yeah, and Warrington is a gamer.
Shiraz, this guy,
he was a problem the last one. Yeah, so that is a good card.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. That's one definitely keep an eye out. That's the weekend after Canelo, so that's not a bad one.
After that, we got Sandy Ryan versus Michaela Mayer for the WBO welterweight title. Michaela Mayer, bro, she her last shot at who did she fight? Natasha Jonas in like London or whatever. And bro, I felt like they robbed that girl. It was really a shame.
You think Natasha Jonas won?
No, I think Mayer won, but they robbed her. Yeah. So at least now she'll be able to fight for a title at welterweight.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. She just skipped up from she went from 130, skipped 135 and 140 and went all the way up to welterweight.
Yeah.
And then we got Xander Zayas coming back. So shout out to him. But yeah, man, we got some stuff on the horizon. So that'll be good. We'll see about this on Wednesday.
Yes.
And then yeah, man, boxing's coming back, baby.
That's right. That's right.
But before we go, let's shout out to our sponsors once again. We got Jazzercise.
Oh, there it is. I had to find it. Sorry, guys.
Boom. Use code FIGHTBANANAS for 15% off. If you want to get the face looking right. And then if you want to punch somebody in the face, check out our sponsor, HKA USA. Use codes BANANAS20 for 20% off.
That's right,
You know what I'm
baby.
saying?
That's right.
And make sure you tune into the Boxing Bananas show and our other Fight Banana shows as well. And make sure you comment to be featured live on the screen.
And follow our IG, guys. We're trying to get to
Absolutely. At Boxing
solid number.
Bananas Official.
that's
Check
right.
that out.
So,
But other than that, any last words?
man, just thank you, Kyle, again, for the fan reaching out. All love, fam, love it. And then keep watching, guys, keep going. We're trying to give you our best material possible, the best stuff that we can give you, updates, anything, comment, tell us what you want to hear, any of those things, shout outs, whatever you need, let us know.
100%. Yeah, let us know what you want to hear from us. And then, yeah, until next time, we'll be back next week.